Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock and it's time for another video. And today I'm going to be talking about Blackpool. Expect a few videos coming up over the next couple of weeks about Blackpool, because Blackpool is the most exciting time of the year for a magician. It is the world's largest magic convention. And let's be honest, this year the organisers have gone all out. The lineup on paper is bigger than I've ever seen before. They've addressed many of the issues that people had last year. They've got some of the big stars in magic doing more than one lecture on the day, gives you more of a chance to catch them. They've got bigger rooms that lectures are taking place in. Just everything just seems like it's going to be perfect. And on today's video, I want to talk to you about my 10 favourite lectures that are going to be presented, or my 10 favourite events that are going to be presented throughout the day at the Blackpool Magic Convention. I went and had a look on the app, and you can get the app now from the App Store. And they've got all of the lineup and all of the timings and times and schedule and everything. And I went through and I was like, that's the thing with Blackpool, right? You can't see everything. It's impossible. You're going to have to make a choice. If you want to see this person, then you're not going to be able to see this person. If you want to spend some time with the dealers, you're going to miss some events, right? And it's always the same. So one thing I always advise people to do is before Blackpool, get yourself organised. Kind of know exactly the events that you really want to see. Make a list of them so you know where you need to be and at what time you need to be there. That sort of thing is really important. But I always get every single year people saying to me, what's your plan? What are you going to see at Blackpool this year? So I'm going to do on this video the 10 lectures throughout the day, or the 10 events throughout the day that I'm most excited for seeing. And they're in no particular order. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to know. First of all, I might not actually make it to all of these events. And the reason is I get very busy at Blackpool. Ryland's on the show with Killian and Harry. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time making sure that he's organised for that. On top of that, I've got various different dealer stands that I've got to be at, including my own dealer stand. So I'm going to be running around an awful lot. I don't always get a chance to see every single event that takes place at Blackpool. But in an ideal world, these are the 10 that I would actually like to go to. Now, a couple of things. There are so many people lecturing at Blackpool. Not everybody could make the list. And there's people that should be on this list that aren't. And the reason they aren't is because maybe I've seen them a couple of times, or I'm well aware of their body of work. So, for example, Mark Paul is one of my favourite magicians stroke mentalists of all time. I have seen him lecture many, many times. I own all of his material, which is why he's not on this list, because I've seen him a whole bunch. And I really do believe that when you go to Blackpool, you want to try and make an effort to see something that you haven't seen before. Because some of these artists that are going to be appearing at Blackpool, you might never see them again. They might never come back over to the UK. They might, a lot of these people that they've got lecturing, they've only maybe lectured in the UK once, or they very rarely lecture. So there's a few people. Chris Congreve is another example. Unfortunately, I love Chris to bits, but I've seen him lecture so many times, he didn't make the list. And in a normal time of the year, I'd move hell and high water to go and see Chris lecture, but something has to give. So just because you didn't make the list doesn't mean that I don't want to see your lecture, because that's absolutely not the case. The other thing is, this isn't about the shows. This is about the actual events throughout the day. The shows I'm going to be talking about on another video, but they're in no particular order. I'm going to go from 10 down to 1 in no particular order. These are the 10 events throughout the day over the Friday, Saturday and Sunday that are taking place at the Blackpool Magic Convention that I really want to go and see. Okay, so number 1, we have the Insane Magic Lecture, which is Elliot Bibby, Luke Ozy and Cameron Gibson. Now, why am I excited about this one? Well, the reason is I don't really know Cameron Gibson that well at all, really. I've never seen him perform that I'm aware of, but I've heard good things. Elliot, I've seen lecture and I've seen perform many times. A couple of years ago, I watched his Edinburgh Fringe show, the Beach Ball one, which was fantastic. And I know Elliot is amazing. And Luke Ozy, he's become one of the biggest stars in magic. He started off as a kid, just making gimmicks and selling them to a very small group of people. And he's transitioned from that to becoming, a genuine bona fide megastar in the community. You put all three of them together, wow. Now, I've heard really good things about their show. and they're doing a show at the convention as well, which I think a lot of people are going to check out. I know I want to. And their show apparently is very cutting edge. It's very different. It's very unusual. It's not like a normal magic show. And this lecture promises to be different to a normal lecture as well. I also love the fact that it's a lecture with 3 people. I've seen Elliot lecture on his own. I've seen Luke explain magic on his own. I think the 3 of them together, I think that's a really great dynamic. It's a fantastic idea. All 3 of them are creative in their own way. So you put all 3 of them together into a group and you go, right, okay, so this is a lecture. I love this. I'm expecting really crazy ideas. I'm expecting near the mark sort of comedy. I'm expecting. I remember one of the best lectures I ever saw was David Stone. And ironically, David Stone's lecturing this year, and I've not got him on my list because I've seen him so many times. But David Stone genuinely is one of the best lectures I've ever seen, because David made an effort to make the lecture more than just a lecture. It wasn't just, right, here's a trick, now let me explain it, now here's a trick, now let me explain it. It was a show. The whole thing was a show. There were bits of business and there were pieces that were put into David Stone's lecture that made it a performance in its own right. And I fully expect that the Insane Magic crew are going to do the same thing as well. So the first lecture on this list that I desperately want to see is Insane Magic. Okay, so the next person on the list that I really want to go and see is Michael Ammar. Now, I think that Blackpool have anticipated this, which is why Michael Ammar is lecturing twice over the weekend. They expect big numbers for Michael, I expect. And why wouldn't you? You know, one of the reasons I want to watch Michael Ammar, I haven't seen him lecture for years, and he is a big reason as to why I got into the magic that I do. You know, watching his Easy to Master card magic series, his Easy to Master coin magic series really kind of changed the way that I look at magic. And having studied all of his work over the years, everything from the big green book, The Magic of Michael Ammar, through to his magazine and all of the projects that he's been involved with, Michael Ammar is incredible. He's an incredible thinker. He's an incredible performer. He really is the Chuck Norris of the magic world as far as I'm concerned. And also, the guy doesn't seem to age. Has anyone noticed that? He seems to be going backwards. He looks younger now than he did when I was watching him on the L&L DVDs like 20 odd years ago. Like, it's insane that he's actually Benjamin Buttoning this whole thing. And you know, he's not getting any younger. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to see Michael Ammar. I don't know, you know, at some point I'm not going to be able to get a chance to see him anymore. And I just know, I don't know what he's doing in his lecture. I don't know if it's going to be older stuff, newer stuff, and I don't care. Because watching Michael Ammar perform and watching Michael Ammar lecture is a experience in its own right. He's a guy that can do everything. Coin magic, check. Card magic, check. Mentalism, check. Cups and balls, check. Linking rings, check. You name it, he does it. He does it brilliantly. The guy is an absolute legend. For anybody who's watching this that's new into magic, that maybe didn't experience Michael Ammar back in the day, because when I was getting into magic, Michael Ammar was the man. He was the face of many, many projects. He was the guy that you saw pop up again and again and again. He was constantly coming out with another L&L DVD. It was like, how can this guy have so much material? And for those people that are new into magic that wasn't around when that was the case, I'm telling you right now, you need to move hell and high water to go and see Michael Ammar, because whether you learn something or not, it's going to be an experience. So Michael Ammar, that is going to be the second event on this list that I really don't want to miss. Number 3 is the Bear Pit. I love the Bear Pit. I really do. If you don't know what the Bear Pit is and you're new to Blackpool, the Bear Pit is basically an environment where close-up magicians get to perform a sort of a 7 to 8 minute act in an environment that is as close to a real working environment as possible. So there's like 6 or 7 tables set up, and there's groups in front of each table, and the participants in the Bear Pit perform to one group of people, then they go on to another group, then they go on to the other group. It's a real trial by fire. You know, it's a scary thing. I remember watching Nemid Phoenix do the bear pits a couple of years ago, and I've never seen Nemid more scared in my life. Before he was going to do this stuff, he was terrified, he was petrified. And Nemid doesn't get nervous about anything. And I think that's what the bear pit does to you. I think a lot of people come to the bear pit to watch these performers that have apparently got chops do their thing, and there's a lot of anticipation. I did the bear pit coming back out of my self-imposed isolation from magic. Coming back into that, the first Blackpool I went back to was just before the pandemic kicked in, was in 2020. And I did the bear pit. They asked me to do the bear pit, and I was terrified about doing the bear pit because I hadn't been around magic for a long time. I hadn't performed for magicians for a long time. A lot of people didn't know who I was. I didn't feel like I was really good enough to be there. And I was terrified. I was absolutely petrified. I remember, and this never happens to me, but I remember going up to the first table and like my hands were shaking and I had to really concentrate to make sure that I actually got it together. The bear pit can be a terrifying experience. I remember watching Ryland perform in the bear pit a couple of years ago and absolutely beaming with pride. Watching Matt perform in the bear pit yesterday, and Gwilliam, who killed it performing in the bear pit. They both performed in the bear pit last year and killed it. It's one of my favourite sort of events that take place at Blackpool every single year. And this year, listen to this lineup. You've got Rod Hogg. Now, I don't know this guy very well, but I mean, by reputation alone, I have been told he's one of the strongest card magicians in the world. You've got Martin Marvel, who is Martin Pierce, who has released so much amazing magic through Alakazam over the years. You know, if you've ever seen, Martin Pierce perform, I saw him lecture at Wayne Goodman's, Newmarket Shindig, and he did a great job. You've got Jamie Williams, who has, for the last couple of years, released some really strong projects. I was on one of his projects. I was on the movie night project, but before that, he did, with Roddy McGee, he did the Sticker Kicker. He's had a bunch of really clever stuff. It'll be nice to see what Jamie comes up with because he's very, very creative. Then you have definitely the greatest living expert at the close-up linking rings ever, Matthew Garrett. And yes, I'm including Shooto Agara in that. Matthew Garrett really is a guy that can do it all with linking rings, and his products have changed the game. I fully expect Matthew to come with linking rings routine, but if you've ever seen Matthew, he is incredible at most things. If you've ever seen his story deck, it's off the charts good. Matthew's just a consummate professional. Then you have the GOAT. You have Chris Congreve, who is, he's the worker's worker. He really is. He's the blueprint that you look at. You kind of go, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's a great worker. He always gets fantastic reactions. And he's somebody who releases a lot of magic, but it's been worked in a real world environment. And then finally, you have Carl Charlesworth. Now, Carl Charlesworth, I've never seen do close-up. He's the guy I'm most excited to see. Carl Charlesworth is the other half of Carl and Dave. And I've been on record as saying Carl and Dave are my favourite two-person double act of all time. I think they're amazing. I've seen them many, many times, and he plays this very camp, over-the-top character in the show, and it's just hilarious to watch. Well, I've never seen him do close-up before, so watching Carl do close-up is something I'm really excited about. Bottom line, if you want to just see good magic, you're not wanting to watch it to learn it or anything like that, but you want to just see some good magic, then you definitely want to go and check out the Bear Pit. I know I will. Okay, so next up we have Cody Fisher. Now, anybody who's been watching this channel for any length of time will tell you that Cody Fisher is one of my favorite comedy magicians of all time. I do a lot of Cody Fisher's material. I think Cody is just, there's certain people that talk the talk. And then there's people that walk the walk. And that's what Cody does. He walks the walk. For example, in my kids show, I've got a routine that very few people do because they don't know about it, that Cody created. And it just uses three colouring books and some hats and some masks, and it's a 15-minute routine that will bring the house down. Cody created that. There's so many routines that I do in my act that were created and developed by Cody Fisher. I think that, I think that Cody is going to go down as one of the greatest living, or one of the greatest comedy magicians of our generation. I have him up there with Scott Alexander, and anybody who is knows me at all will know how highly I rate Scott Alexander. Well, I have Cody Fisher up there with Scott's stuff. The amount of material that he's done that I do, his Cody's comedy confabulation, I do that. His killer prediction, I do that. His Cody's comedy book test, I do that. There's so many different routines that Cody's released over the years that I do. And here's the thing, when Cody brings something out, there's some people that bring things out just for the sake of bringing them out. And you can tell it's a brain fart. It's never been worked in. It's not something that would work. What Cody does is he's got this ability to only bring stuff out that you know that when you see a Cody Fisher trick, it's been worked. You know he's worked it inside out, back to front, left way, sideways, and every single possible moment that you could have comedy in it has been worked out. Cody Fisher is brilliant. I don't care what Cody's working on or what he's lecturing on. It could be a 1 hour lecture for all I'm concerned in how to play the harmonica. I don't care. I want to see Cody Fisher. The man is brilliant. And if you have any interest in performing on stage, if you have any interest in knowing how to actually perform correctly and how to actually get people to listen to you and how to be funny, then Cody Fisher's lecture is one that you absolutely want to watch. Even if he's not talking about theory, even if he's not talking about connecting with an audience, you'll be able to learn more by watching him perform and lecture to an audience than you will 99% of the other magicians on the planet. Basically what I'm saying is, if you're interested in performing on stage, go watch Cody Fisher. Okay, so next up we have another magician who I am a huge fan of, which is Blake Vogt. So, a lot of you will know that Ryland does Blake Vogt's Vanishing Stool Illusion. Blake has an incredible... Blake is very much like Cody in some respects, in that anything Blake brings out, you know it's going to be good. Anything Blake brings out, you know it's going to be well worked in. It's going to be something that people really, really, really will relate to. And what's nice is when Blake releases a project or Blake releases a trick, you have everything that you need to do it. You'll see multiple live performances. You'll see the scripting. You'll see the page. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't put your own spin on it, but he has everything there. And he's thought everything through. And the guy just thinks differently about magic. One of my favourite tricks of all time to watch being performed is Blake Vogt's gypsy tape. I mean, that's an example of his creativity. I want to do gypsy thread. I want to make it different. What shall I do? I know, let's use a roll of tape. I mean, it's just genius, really, when you think about it. And then the method that he comes up with doing it is just brilliant. Then you have stuff like, all of the different predictions he's done. You have your 6-way out. I still say that Blake Vogt's Acro Index card and Blake Vogt's 6-way out gimmick are two of the best gimmicks ever released to magic, ever. Like, Blake is fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what he presents in his lecture, because I know it's going to be strong and I know it's going to bring the house down. So there you go. The next person I'm going to speak to and I want to watch and I want to see lecture is Blake Vogt. Okay, next up we have Jackie Yu. Now, Jackie Yu, everybody knows who Jackie Yu is. Jackie Yu has become a global sensation on the internet. He is one of my favorite social media magicians of all time, because the stuff that he does is so creative. It fools me over and over again. He really has a knack of taking social media and using that medium to just make his magic just so relatable, so strong, fool magicians over and over again. One of my favorite videos that any magician has ever made was Jackie's video where he's got a tap with water coming down and he's just reaching in and he's doing card productions from out the water. I mean, it's just brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But here's the thing about Jackie. Unlike a lot of social media magicians, he can do it. He has chops. This is a guy that's been on talent shows. This is a guy that's performed at the highest level. He's done quick change acts. He's done comedy magic on stage. He's done manipulation. He's done it all. He performs at a very, very, very high level. Not only does he perform at a very, very, very high level, not only is his social media content better than ever, really, that I've seen, but on top of that, he's a creative powerhouse. Like, you look at some of the stuff that he's released recently, it's brilliant. I love his card stands for Skinner's 3-card Monty. I think they're brilliant. I think it really elevates that particular routine and makes it work to a big audience. And that's just one of the things he's brought out. You know, something that went under the radar is his egg trick that he brought out a little while ago. Again, absolutely brilliant. He's been bringing a lot of things out recently with poker chips, and they're really good. So he's the total package. He's a great creative magic. He's a great performer. He's a great lecturer. His social media content is fantastic. And he's another guy that I have no idea what he's lecturing on. And frankly, I don't care, because I know it's Jackie U, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm going to be sitting in the audience at the end of the lecture, and I'm just going to be looking at and I'm just going to go, oh my. So next up, we have not a lecture, but another event that I really want to see. On the Friday is the Family Entertainers Show. Now, I think that there's a lot of people watching this, especially close-up magicians and maybe stage magicians, that will give this a hard pass. And I think that that is a wrong call. Here's the thing. A lot of people, close-up magicians, stage magicians, they look down on family entertainers. They look down on kids entertainers. I wouldn't like to be a kids entertainer. I don't want to be a family entertainer. I don't like children. Here's the thing, right? Family entertainers are amazing. They normally are better performers than any close-up magicians put together. You take all the close-up magicians in the world and you compete on a performance level against all the family entertainers in the world, you will get the family entertainers winning hands down every single time. And what the Family Entertainers Show is so if you don't know, for the last few years, Blackpool has had the Family Entertainer of the Year competition. And every year people compete to win the title of Family Entertainer of the Year. And there has been, let me look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 winners in the last few years. And this show is not a competition, it's a show. It's a show headlined by all of the past winners of the Family Entertainers of the Year competition. So you've got Bill Sharp. He won it last year. He had a very, very, very cool concept in his act. It was all to do with he made the whole thing very, very interactive. He had audience members buzzing in and joining it. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You have Dave Allen, who's the other half of Carl and Dave. Remember I talked about Carl Charlesworth and how he's part of my favourite double act of all time, Carl and Dave? Well, Dave Allen is the other half of Carl and Dave. Dave Allen is an amazing kids entertainer, amazing family entertainer, amazing cabaret entertainer, amazing close-up magician. He's just annoyingly good at everything. So Dave's going to be there, obviously a winner of the Family Entertainer of the Year in the past. Graham Shaw. Now, if you don't know Graham Shaw is one of the co-owners of Magic Box up in Newcastle. And if you've ever been to a convention and seen Magic Box there, it's probably Graham behind the stand. But as well as being, part of Magic Box, he's also an illusionist, he's a family entertainer, he's a kids entertainer. He's done it all, and he's won the Family Entertainer of the Year, obviously. Then you have Magic Sam. Now, you might know Magic Sam if you're frequent London and you go to the Magician's Corner. You'll see Sam regularly there. He's the guy that carts out a Sponsors 360 to finish his show, which is just brilliant. I love that. Sam is hilarious. His energy and his enthusiasm for everything he does is infectious. And his Cups and Balls routine is brilliant as well, by the way. I hope he does his Cups and Balls routine. It's great. Jezzo is just a consummate professional. He's a kids entertainer, he's a family entertainer, but you wouldn't expect him to be until he starts performing. If you watch the Family Entertainer of the Year competition last year, he compared the whole event, and he is so professional. He knows his knowledge base is amazing. He knows everything. He has every prop. I think he owns every single prop. I think he owns everything that's ever been made in the entire history of ever. But he's also a very funny guy, and he's one of those people that really connects with an audience, regardless of age, regardless of who they are, really connects with an audience. You've got Magic Martin. Don't know much about Magic Martin. I'm really feel bad about that. I can't wait. I know. I've seen him lecture but I've never, and it was an amazing lecture, but I've never actually seen him perform to a real audience. So I can't wait to see that. His lecture was absolutely fantastic. And Nutty Noah has a reputation of being one of the funniest family entertainers of all time. Like, everybody says so. So, I mean, that what a show. What a show. It's a little bit like the Bear Pit. Don't go to learn anything. Don't go to take notebooks and scribble down lines and stuff. That's not what this event is for. But I guarantee you, people that go there, that's going to be one of the talking points for the whole convention. That's the sleeper hit. I guarantee it. Okay, so next we have Dan Sperry. I'm very excited about seeing Dan Sperry. Because we think of Dan Sperry, right? And this is typical Blackpool, how they've done this. I don't know how they've done this, but Dan Sperry, we consider him of almost like a geek magician. He's the guy that's going to be putting needles in his eyes. He's the guy that's going to be blowing himself up. He's going to be throwing hooks in his mouth. He's going to be, he looks like a cast member of The Walking Dead. You took somebody from The Walking Dead and you combine it with, it looks like that sort of person. You kind of know what you're going to expect when you see Dan Sperry on the lineup. And yet he's doing a lecture on kid shows. I mean, I love that. I love that. Did anybody see that coming? Did anybody see it coming that Dan Sperry was going to do a lecture on entertaining for family audiences and kids? Because I didn't. And apparently, he's done kid shows and birthday parties his whole life. But we know him as this kind of goth, self-harm geek magician. And yet that's not what he's doing. I love that. I want to see more of this at conventions. I have no idea what to expect with this lecture. I have no idea. And out of the entire list, this is the one I'm most excited about. And I think this is going to be brilliant. So, Dan Sperry, that's next on my list. Okay, we're down to the penultimate one. Number 9 is Eric Leclerc. I love Eric Leclerc. I think the first time I saw Eric Leclerc was years and years and years and years and years ago. And Jay Sankey brought out a DVD, and it was like a sessioning thing. And it was Jay with a bunch of unknown magicians. And Eric was one of them. And there was another magician. There were a couple of other magicians there. I'm pretty sure that Jeff Stone was one of the magicians there as well. I'm not too sure. But Eric Leclerc was definitely there. And that was the first time I became aware of him. And since then, he has shot to fame and fortune. He is very, very, very slick. He recently released the blindfold that turns into a pair of pants, which has gone into Ryland's show and has stayed there. And not everything stays in Ryland's show. It'll go in there for a while and then get dropped and then come back and then get dropped. It stayed there the entire time. I mean, why did nobody else think of that? It's a blindfold and it's a pair of pants and it's a card revelation. It's 3 things in one. Eric, you are a genius. But he's also a very funny guy. You watch him perform. He's a great kids show entertainer. He's a great family entertainer. He's a great corporate entertainer. He's one of those people. I love it when Blackpool does this. Not just Blackpool, but any convention. I love it when they book workers. And what I mean by workers is people that go out there night after night and they show people. There's nothing wrong with lectures from people. One of my favourite lectures a couple of years ago was Lloyd Barnes. Lloyd will openly tell you he's never performed for anyone in his life, and his lecture was amazing and it was very insightful. And I love lectures from people that don't really go out and perform that much because it's a very insightful lecture. They approach things in a different way. But as somebody who goes out and performs professionally, I really love it when I see somebody who you can just tell, you watch them and you go, yeah, this is a guy that's been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. Then he went and wore the T-shirt till it got worn out. He bought another T-shirt and now he's wearing that one. And that's what you have with Eric Leclerc. Very funny guy. And I think he's going to have a very similar lecture. I don't know, but I think I mentioned very early on with Insane Magic that I like lectures where it's a bit of a show as well as just a lecture. I don't want it to be just dry. And I think that that's what we're going to get from Eric. Knowing him, I don't really know him very well, but knowing him from watching him, I think that we're going to be seeing something very special from Eric Leclerc. And don't forget, he's also going to be comparing the one competition, which, dear Lord, is a big job and just shows the faith that the Blackpool Magic Convention Committee have in Eric Leclerc. And then the final person that I want to see lecturing. This is weird for me because I don't normally gravitate towards lectures where I don't really know the person very well. But I don't know this person very well. It's Adrian Caratala. And the only thing I've ever seen him do is fool Penn and Teller, right? That's the only thing I've ever seen him do. And it was a fantastic performance, don't get me wrong. But I've never seen anything else that he's done. I've never seen any of his products. I've never seen him lecture. I've never really seen any of his performances. So why do I want to see him lecture when I don't really know anything about him? Because I read the write-up on his lecture and that excited me. And here's a tip for you. When you're looking through the app and you're looking at which lectures to go to and which not to go to, actually click on the person's name and look at what they're actually lecturing. They write that in and they send it to Blackpool and Blackpool post it. So this is what they're actually doing in their own words. And this is apparently going to be a lecture all about creativity, being more creative, how to engage your creative juices, and then he's going to use effects to demonstrate creativity. I love lectures in creativity. On the Netrix, we've just had Lord Harry Harrington lecture, and he spent quite a while talking about creativity and magic, and I love that. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited because... yeah, I love a good creativity lecture. And from what I've seen from Adrian, I think he's going to be a fantastic lecturer. So a bit of a punt for me. Don't really know much about him, but I'm excited. So there you go, guys. That is another video in the bag. Do me a favour. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is there somebody you're excited about seeing that I haven't put on my list? Let me know. And that's the best thing about Blackpool. Everybody's going to have a different list. There are so many lectures, you're not going to be able to see everything. So you pick and choose which ones you want to go to. There's going to be some people, let's be honest, there are going to be some people watching this video right now, they will not see a single lecture, they will not go to a single event, and instead they will spend the entire time hanging out with mates and going around the dealer hall. And there is nothing wrong with that. You get out of Blackpool what you want to get out of Blackpool. But for me, these are the 10 that if I get a chance to, and I'm not running around like a blue-arsed fly, these are the 10 that I'm going to be going and seeing. So let me know in the comments down below which 10 you want to see. Don't forget you want to see more videos like this. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again soon with another video, but don't forget to join the Netrix. It's my online streaming platform for magicians, and it gets bigger and bigger every single day. Big things afoot for the Netrix. You'll see soon. I'll see you again. My name's Craig from Magic TV.